Welcome back, everyone. Christian Shreve, bestboxingbets.com. You know, recently we did a posting on Sergy Kovalev, reminding people or informing people that the man is not a puncher because his style's not a puncher, it's a fighter. Last night he totally dominated someone named Ismail Salik, stopping him in the second. And HBO's in love with him. Max Kellerman wants to sit on his lap. I mean, this is a guy who can bring in a lot of people to watch boxing. He has that killer instinct. You talk bad intentions, Mike Tyson style bad intentions, this is the guy. He insults. Last night after winning in the second round, he walked over above Salik, who he stopped in the second, and said something ugly to him while he was still on the ground. This is a man who's known as being mean, and he is a breakout star. He also seems to be on a collision course with the world light heavyweight champion, Adonis Stevenson. He has a title. He understands that he needs 3 or 4 to be recognized as a champion, and that's his goal, he says. Now, not only is this a mean guy who feels that recognition was deprived of him when he was an all-star amateur growing up in Russia, but you're hearing mention and you're reading about it in the Ring magazine of his punching fundamentals, and this always confuses people. So I'm going to tell you right now that there's a website I want to refer you to on YouTube to look at. It says hit 3 times harder, hit 3x harder. Now, a lot of people don't understand that you take a fundamental. Everyone who's been successful at sports is not going to be surprised by what I'm going to say next. But there were a lot of critical comments about this program because those of you who've been successful, we know that if we have to add a new movement, we break it down. We break it down as a fundamental, the pieces. We stick it where it goes, what comes before it, what comes after it, how it's used, when it's used. And then we put it together, and it's awkward for a minute. And punching, it goes within the game of fighting. Hit 3x harder can punch. It can show anyone how to punch right through somebody. And there were a couple of minor gaps in it that are remedied for free on the website of the founder, which is available on the YouTube clip. I ordered the course, and I may recommend it officially, endorse it, and affiliate it down the road. But what are we talking about? We're talking about the technology of punching by Jack Dempsey. You're hearing mention with Kovalev's technique of the falling step. Listen, anytime you drop weight into something, there's going to be power. And he does that. Now Bruce Lee had one leg shorter than the other. He had his right leg shorter than his left, so he could drop and get extra power. If you drop on a jab, you get a harder jab. If you drop or sit on your weight as you cross, it's harder. You can rise up after that and drop your weight again into the next shot. And you can land much, much harder. There's also something called the shoulder whirl. Mike Tyson was an expert at it. It's the motion similar to the inside of what an oscillating washing machine, closed washing machine does. And it adds impetus and force as well. And you'll notice with Kovalev that although his punching technique works like that, he doesn't focus on throwing extra hard. They're still not going to be able to transform the guy into the style of a puncher, which means when you're making money on him or making money against him, you're going to recognize that he's a fighter. He's going to chase the guy down. He's not willing to stop, load up, hit hard with everything he can. He's not going to do that because he's going to be launching a series of punches. Don't forget, even the greatest combination puncher of all time in the history of the sport probably was Joe Louis. And someone who gave him the hardest time as a challenger, Jersey Joe Walcott, said when he was comparing the style of Louis to the style of a puncher like Rocky Marciano, somebody who would rear back and throw a punch with absolutely everything he had in his body, he said you get a rhythm, a timing puncher, and Marciano with one shot would land harder than Louis with one shot. But that's because Louis was launching 4 or 5 punches in a row, and that's what Kovalev will do. But he is not going to make that mistake. So, somebody says, well, he's a puncher, so somebody's going to be able to time and move out of his way. He's charging in at you. He is a fighter. He's charging in at his opposition. You pros out there, you already picked this up. You know that who he's going to do well against, who he might struggle with. Last night he fought somebody tall, with good reach, and there was something that hasn't been said. They're saying he throws punches at the right time, and so I'm getting emails. What exactly are you talking about? Listen, there are only a couple of ways that you can time a shot, and it's considered mystical. It's not. Let me break it down for you in about 1 minute. I throw a shot. Say I throw a jab. You know why they call a cross a cross? It doesn't cross over your own body. It crosses over the jab. Okay? That's what it does. Now, a lot of people in karate and things like that, you know, you'll see somebody lock a punch out and somebody do a bunch of moves. Well, obviously that's we know now that in today's world that doesn't work because everybody pulls back. And if you see somebody not preparing against a punch, when the punch comes back, they're not really training for a fight or a professional sports fight. Now, if I throw and somebody follows my shot back, I'll be able to defend as long as I have a decent defense. Maybe I'll make it miss by moving my feet and my body won't be there. Maybe I'll make it miss by moving my torso. My torso won't be there. Maybe I'll hook it and parry it away. But the timing of it is they're either going to throw the punch coming back or they're going to throw the punch hopefully before I can get it back, where there's the best. Bruce Lee named his personal style, he had 2 of them, but as he became famous, he named it Jeet Kune Do, which translates literally into the way of the intercepting fist, intercepting 2 things going at the same time. Kovalev does this expertly, and very few fighters do it with power. And that is, as you punch, he punches. He doesn't rock back like a counter fighter. He doesn't rotate, make you miss. He's willing to take the shot. He covers. Max Kellerman pointed this out. But as you punch, he punches. So as you open your target and lean into him, that's when he hits you. And it's like moving a force into another force, so it enhances the force of the blow. So when they're talking about hitting at the right time, that's what they're talking about. If you want to see Jack Dempsey's falling step, you can find it on Hit 3X Harder. At this point, it's a completely unsolicited recommendation. Those people who don't understand basic mechanics of movement, they struggle with this site. For everyone else, it's a no-brainer. And the shoulder whirl, the twist and rotation, the pivot into it. Look, Kovalev does this really well. If he fights Adonis Stevenson quickly, then we're going to have a massive, massive light heavyweight fight. The same type of fight that we had to determine dominance between Danny Garcia and Lucas Matisse. That's what we want. The winner of that would be a star. In fact, you could see that fight happening more than once with a series, and that's what we're looking for. But those are you know, when people are giving terms that seem almost ethereal or mythical, it sounds like hyperbole or something a little bit out of what's human. It's not. It's not. And I've shown you where you can find the data. Watch this guy. He's thrilling. He's exciting. And what's next for him is hopefully a fight with anybody. Because if he has a fight on in 2 months, when most fighters can't, or excuse me, when most viewers aren't going to spend money on a pay-per-view card, they will sit down and watch him on HBO. They will sit down and watch him. And I will too. Let me know your thoughts and opinions below. Christian Shreve, bestboxingbets.com. I'm Christian Shreve, and I'm here to tell you about why I think you should own my new book, Money Boxing, which is on sale now. Money Boxing has something for everyone, whether or not you know anything about boxing. You're about to receive a backstage pass into a world of glamour, corruption, and intrigue. And you're going to learn about the system, which is the only thing the casinos have had to fear in a long time. You can own Money Boxing by clicking on the link below now. I think you'll like it.